I'd like to say something about investigatory considerations rooted in data. And that's just a fancy way of saying there's data available to us on the phenomenon of clergy sexual abuse that strongly points towards the need for independent investigations of every diocese in the United States by law enforcement. By 2004, every bishop and diocese in the United States self-reported their statistics on priest abusers and victims as part of a study conducted by the John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York City. The diocesan self-reports, which formed the basis of the study, often lacked complete and consistent data. For example, most of the reports identify, this is from 2004, most dioceses reported on the number of abusers within their diocese, but were incomplete in providing whether or not these people were still in ministry or not, and also were very oftentimes lacking in providing numbers of allegations, numbers of victims, numbers of people who brought these allegations forward. For example, an individual priest might be noted as having an allegation against them, but it won't say how many or where. Most dioceses don't report even the names of their abusers as part of their self-reporting. When you look at the reporting as part of the John Jay study, more often than not, they note the number of abusers and almost not at all their names, and so therefore less frequently even their assignments or the number of allegations against them. So that's a major discrepancy in the self-reporting of the individual dioceses. And so it's impossible to say that this landmark study that was conducted by the John Jay College of Criminal Justice, that this was independent. They simply did what the bishops asked them to do and paid them to do, but it had nothing, as a matter of fact, to do with an independent accounting or a thorough accounting. So right out of the gate, and this is in response, that study was in response to the shock wave, the tsunami of reports in Boston in 2002, and even still by 2004 the bishops were providing incomplete and insufficient information. The statistics that are gleaned from local investigations that are conducted by, for example, district attorneys, local grand juries, or sustained investigations conducted by local media outlets almost always present a much more grim picture than that presented by the bishops. And so, as I said earlier, there was a whole slew of local investigations in Suffolk County or Westchester County or Boston or Philadelphia, or even by the grand jury in Pennsylvania investigating Altoona Johnstown in 2013. When you compare the numbers that come out of even the reporting by media or the sleuthing done by victims advocate organizations and compare that to the self-reporting of the bishops in the John Jay study, the independent reporting is always much more grim and exponentially so. So let me just say, there is a marked contrast between the self-reporting of U.S. bishops of their abuser priests and victims and the reality presented by transparent investigations. It is imperative, therefore, that investigations such as the 40th Pennsylvania Investigating Grand Jury be conducted in every local diocese and state in America. And I also have a data sheet to back up my research on these matters, much of which can just be found by going to bishopaccountability.org or searching the reporting in your local area. But if you contact me, I'd be happy to share my data for all of Pennsylvania, every diocese in the state of New York as well. We see pushback by the dioceses and interested parties in Pennsylvania to a full accounting of this data by virtue of the redactions that were sought and gained by interested parties in the 40th investigating grand jury in Pennsylvania. The only way that we can fight this marked contrast in investigation or communication of data between what's real and what the bishops present is by having independent, transparent investigations by law enforcement in every diocese in the United States.